I don't think that he's saying no one is in work over hospitals at the weekend. Of course they are. They're not shut for business. But I think anyone who's been in hospital over a weekend notices a significant difference.
Plus the 6,000 deaths that are recorded that happen at the
it's
weekend. You can't ignore that.
No, it's a lot quieter. And my mother-in-law was taken into hospital over a weekend, and we were down at the seaside, actually. My husband rushed back, and when he got there, she was completely dehydrated. She'd fallen out of bed, and there was one poor nurse covering 3 wards. Now, it's not the nurse's fault, but you just think everything else. As a journalist, I've worked weekends all my life. You were expected to do sort of 1 weekend in 4, maybe, and you don't work longer hours, you just work different hours. I worked Christmas days, Boxing days, etc. A lot of the doctors that have opted out that don't work weekends, if they had a chip pan fire, that's not necessarily a massive emergency, but firemen will come out on a Saturday and a Sunday.
I know, but the last structure for this was back in 2003 under Labour government.
Yeah.
So it is time for a restructure, and you cannot ignore, in my opinion, 6,000 deaths. These are unnecessary deaths.
But that's what I'm saying.
I know, but I
think this is a good idea, and I think that doctors need to accept that it's a 24/7
Yes,
service,
but it has to be just a different structure that's put into place.
So if you work a weekend,
I don't think they should be forced to work weekends. Maybe 1 weekend every month or something they should be able to do it. And there's obviously, you know, doctors and nurses that have got families and want to spend weekends with their families.
But they're not forced now.
No.
And that's where the issue lies.
I don't think they like to be forced. They don't like the idea, though, of being told you're going to have to work weekends.
But what Hunt is saying is, I will discuss this with the British Medical Association and we will negotiate. If they don't, I will then enforce it in, I think, April 2017.
Keris, I know you're fighting and queuing up to speak there. So.
No, it just makes absolute common sense that there is service there, because obviously accidents happen and emergencies happen on a weekend, so there obviously has to be a working system.
Have you had experience yourself, Linda, in your own life?
Not really, not weekends or whatever. We've got our GP, there's a number that you can ring in emergency, and there's like a CAMI doc that we go to at King's Cross, so if there's ever a problem, we'll go there. But I know lots of people, you know, I mean, queuing up in accident and emergency, you did it with your son, you said last week you queued up for 7 hours for a minor little. Yeah. So maybe there should be someone, like, I don't know, somewhere you can go for minor dressings rather than, you know, sit in the waiting room.
To relieve A&E, that's the point.
Yeah.
But you've had medical background, haven't you?
Yeah, a lot of my family and friends work in the NHS. My sister works in South Wales and West Wales with the NHS. Many of them are crying out because the model isn't working at the minute. It's at breaking point. One of my friends works to find beds on wards, and she's finding beds in ambulances because there are no rooms in beds in hospital. And we need to look at that and be realistic about it and work on having a working model.
Yeah. It is kind of, you're right, it's a kind of distribution of staff, isn't it? Yeah. Because, as you rightly said, you had one nurse covering, you know, X number of wards. And I feel, I mean, I admire doctors so much. They do such a brilliant job. I really, it's a calling. And I don't think that they're going to balk against the practicality of this, of unnecessary deaths. It's a question of working out a system that's going to bring it into modern society. A working model.
I mean, if you work in a shop and you work, say, Saturday and Sunday, you then get Monday and Tuesday off, or Monday and Thursday off. So no one's saying that they should work longer hours. It's the same hours, but just in a different shift formation.
So
on a rota basis.
Every 4 you work a weekend.
Maybe some of these doctors would like to have a Thursday or Friday off to play golf or something like that. You never know.
The senior doctors, I think we're talking about specifically in this as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But I think we all agree that there has to be a new structure. I think the audience would agree. All nodding heads like that.